Hello and welcome back to my channel, my Boozy Bookish friends. I'm Justine, or Jay if you prefer, and welcome to my next video. So today we are doing what am I doing today? A wine and book pairing for the Mas Rosé Aurore, Sud de France. Uh, this is the label. It's a little messed up because it's been in the fridge for a really long time. Because of poor ADHD planning. Anyway, so it tastes fine. In fact, it tastes amazing. I am so excited to talk about this. But this is a new wine I tried, and it is a French rose blend. It is a blend of traditional Mediterranean varieties, Grenache Noir, Cinsault, and Syrah. There are no notes on the label, so I admit I went into this blind because your gal's not a tasting expert. But so let's pour a glass. So when it first came out of the glass, I was like, wow, that's a really strong smell. It smells, but not in like a obnoxious alcohol-y way. It's just very I guess you call it a bouquet, I don't really know. But the aroma of the wine, or like the smell of the wine, is very powerful. It's very it's very strong. Not so much in it's not I wouldn't call it in your face, but it knows itself, you know? It knows who it is. And when you take a sip, it goes down really smooth. It's very easy drinking, especially when it's like this. It's been chilled. And like I said, it's been sitting in the fridge for several weeks at this point. It's nice and crisp and cold. And I know I'm holding it wrong, but it's very good. I read a review on Vivino that said it didn't make much of an impression beyond it being good. And I'm like, that's kind of unfair because it's really good. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are I made a rookie mistake with my fountain pen. But like I think it's got its own personality. It's got this it's got like a playfulness to it. It's got a little bit, not quite, I wouldn't call it's about sass, not so sass so much, like irreverence, a little bit of irreverence to it. It's got a personality, but it doesn't take itself too seriously, you know? So I can imagine drinking this like what's a good scenario for drinking this? Um I would say this is a good drink for drinking when you are wanting to laugh at life's absurdities. When life is a little too much, but you're a little too over it to get hurt. You know what I mean? And honestly, maybe that's why I'm liking it so much, because I'm a little bit there. I I don't know what stage of grief this is called, but like it's irreverent, it's lively, it's got like a little pep in its step, and the pep in its step is not because it's optimistic, but because it knows what's out there and it just has decided it does not care. So this went a little deeper and darker than I meant it to. But the books I'm pairing with it focus more on the irreverence aspect, on the like kind of optimism in spite of knowing hardships, things like that. And the irreverence, the books I'm pairing it with are kind of quippy, you know, they got lots of one-liners, but they all have like a deeper meaning to them. If you study them further, they can be very meaningful. If you study them further, they have a lot to say. There's either social commentary or emotional depth to them, or in one case, math. Um, So let's start off with the one that I think is most overdone. And I think honestly, I can imagine this wine getting overdone and kind of cliche pretty quickly. But that is kind of true for this book. It is still much beloved for me, don't get me wrong. But I admit it's a bit overdone and it's gotten a bad rep in some cases, I think. And that is Antoine de Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince, which is an amazing book. It's very meaningful. Quite, its messages of friendship and of love are very deep and can resonate with a lot of people. Problem is, it's a little, there's a term in Filipino called gas gas. Gus literally means scratch. So it's kind of like those old records. You've been playing them so much, it gets a little scratch. It's Gus. It's overdone, you know? And I feel that The Little Prince has been a little too commercialized, a little too marketed as a thing. But that being said, the book on its own is very nice. It's a little quippy. It's a little irreverent. It's a little, you know, um, and I personally still love it, and I still personally love the musical in particular. I watched the movie with Richard Kiley and Bob Fosse. That is amazing. If you haven't seen that yet, I recommend you go see it right now. I don't know where it's available, but it's an old movie. It stars Richard Kiley as the pilot and Bob Fosse as the snake. So it is, and Gene Wilder as the fox. I don't know who plays the little prince. He's an introducing at that point, and I don't know if he ever made another movie. He's a very adorable little boy who looks almost exactly like the drawing. So it's a good movie and it's a good book, and I think I would love to reread it while drinking this wine. Next book, talking about math. I mentioned math, and that is, in case you might have guessed, there are like only a few books that are can be called irreverent and mathy at the same time, I suppose. And I'm talking about algebra. No, I'm kidding. It's not algebra. It's Alice in Wonderland, or Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Now, these books are incredibly irreverent. They're very light and funny, and if you read them just for what they are, they're just a fun romp in an imaginary land. You don't need to think too deep. Like this wine, it goes down easy, you know. It's just a bunch of funny scenes that don't make any sense. But get a mathematician involved, and they will word vomit to you about all the math that is involved in Alice in Wonderland. Because Lewis Carroll was a mathematician, and he jam packed that novel, with all sorts of mathematical references. For instance, when Alice talks about things, talks about her times tables, um, four times five is 12, and five times six is 13. Oh no, I shall never get to 20 at that rate. They're talking about the different kinds of number systems. So we use a decimal system, but I think if you the 4 times 5 being 12 makes sense if you use a, I think it's a base 12 system or a base 21 system, something like that. So if you base your number system on a different number, then 4 times 5 does in fact equal 1, 2, or 12, and so on and so forth. And the reason that this happens is the pattern that it makes is that you're never going to be able to get to 20, because the numbers that we use in the decimal system are unable to correspond to the numbers that base system would need. So I'm kind of word vomiting here, but it's a fun book. Look it up. Look up math in Alice in Wonderland. It is fun. It is really fun. But again, it's really irreverent. It's really goes down easy. It's just a fun little romp. But when you look it up and when you think about it, there's a lot of substance to it. And honestly, it's one of my favorite books. I haven't reread it in a while, but I really should. And I should do it while drinking this wine. The last book is one of my favorite books. It's not, well, I don't know if it's a book, it's a play. And it is by perhaps the king of social commentary, also the king of irreverence, none other than the great Oscar Wilde. And that play is The Importance of Being Earnest, which, if you've read it, you'll know is incredibly jam packed with one liners. It is just quotable quotes upon quotable quotes. And I love it. I want I want one of the quotes on my tombstone. If you can comment down below which quote that is, I will give you, I don't know, points, wine points. I will dedicate it to you. Um, but I will post a short on Saturday or Sunday that has the quote that I'm referring to. Um, but anyway, so The Importance of Being Earnest is a comedy of errors. It is about two dudes who are basically trying to escape their responsibilities by changing their names and doing all kinds of rich white guy shenanigans in that era. But it's it's deeper. It's got social commentary on the absurdities of aristocracy, on the absurdities of names, and on the absurdities of life in general. And it's a fun, quippy, irreverent book. And it's an amazing play. I have yet to see it live, but I would love to see it live. If you have seen it live, please do let me know in the comments how that goes. And I will pepper you with questions. The movie was not so good. I did not like the movie that I watched of it, the Colin Firth version. Um, I found it, it was definitely irreverent, but it didn't stick to the book as strictly as I would have liked it to. But well, um, also there are no more cucumbers in the market, not even for ready money. Um, yeah, those are the three books that I would pair with this wine. They are full of one-liners. They are a little irreverent. They kind of thumb their nose at life, and they've got a deeper meaning than they want to let on. So those are my picks for this week's wine and book night for Cosmas Rosé Aurore. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment on what you think of these books. Do you think they fit my imagining of them? What other books do you think would fit this kind of description or this wine? So let me know down below in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And cheers!